He really changed my life. I mean, completely flipped this mug upside down. What's up, guys? Welcome to the club where anybody's welcome and everybody can join. If you are new to the club, welcome. And if you have been here, thank you for coming back. I'm really appreciative that you clicked on this video, and I hope you will decide to join by subscribing and turning on that bell so that you get notified whenever we have more meetings. Last video on Monday, I talked about the thin line between Christianity and mental health and how I feel about it and all that wonderful stuff. Today, I want to talk about specifically how Jesus changed my life in regard to mental health. So, I'm gonna give you a little backstory about my journey with Christianity. I grew up in the church. I think that is true for most African American people that identify as Christian. I grew up in the church. I mean, mom was in a choir, dad was preaching. I grew up in the church. I think I originally accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior when I was about 6, maybe. I went through the whole 9. I got baptized and all that. And then I kind of just let it go. I was like, okay, cool, I'm a Christian. Not really understanding what that meant. Not understanding that, okay, cool, you have stepped into this new realm now. Now what are you going to do with it? So fast forward probably about 13 through probably about 17, I probably gave my life to Christ about 4 different times before I really gave it to him. And what I mean by that is I would say, okay, cool, I'm a Christian. I prayed the sinner's prayer. I believed in my heart and confessed with my mouth. But then I would go back to living life exactly the way I was living it before. No change. Wasn't reading the word. Wasn't really trying to please God or follow his plan for my life. It was still, okay, well, I'm cool. I got that part taken care of. Now I'm gonna go over here and do what I was doing before. After I hit like 17, 18, had gone through a little bit of what the old folks like to say, troubled water. I went through a little bit of trouble. I went through a little bit of trials and tribulations on my own accord. And the only one that got me out was nothing but God. And so I had to really look at the fact that he is real. And once you accept him, he holds you to a higher standard. He holds you to a standard of proclaiming the gospel wherever you go. But in relation to my mental health, I think I really began to let him change my mind. The word says, be ye transformed from the renewing of your mind. So how I began to think about myself, how I began to think about others changed. Once I let him in and let him start working on me, which meant addressing things that had happened in the past that I hadn't addressed that were still in the mental Rolodex of my mind. Not letting people walk over me, having the courage to say exactly how I felt, when I felt it, however I needed to feel it, and however I needed to say it. Because I know when I first started really talking to people, every time I would try to express myself, I'd start crying. It would take me like 15 minutes to say what now I can probably say in a couple minutes. Working through that, being embarrassed, being talked about, being bullied, being looked at sideways, all that kind of stuff. It took some work on my end. It definitely took some work. Everything that you did that got you or that led you to this place of being unstable in your mind, you're going to have to go back and fix those things and then build new habits. Remember last video I talked about how when you take something out, you have to replace it. At this point, I was doing the replacing. When I really let Jesus in and really let him do what he does best, which is make everything well, and make everything good, and make everything work according to his plan, which ultimately means working out for your good as well. He really started to switch up some stuff. People started falling away. Things started falling away. My relationship with my parents started to get a lot better. My relationship with myself and how I loved myself, understanding that I needed to love myself and what that really looked like for me, started to change and it started to grow. And how I let people treat me or not treat me began to change and to shift. If I tried it 4 times, and when I say that, I mean if I tried to kill myself 4 times and it didn't work, maybe there's a reason I'm down here. Maybe there's a reason that he let me live, that he allowed the sequence of events to happen the way they happened so that I could still be here. So let me go figure out what he's got in mind, because clearly it ain't for me to die. I remember sitting in my room and I was just like, What do you want? I remember asking the Lord, like, what do you want from me? Let me go. Like, what don't you get? Like, it was almost like I was talking to myself. And he just as calmly said, you're not supposed to be dying. And then he said, don't you think after the 4th time you should probably live? And I just broke down in tears. And I said, okay. All right. Fine. What do you need me to do? So I think once I had that come to Jesus moment with myself, I really said, okay, look, Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'm here for it. Wherever you need me to go, whoever you need me to talk to, I'm here for it. And was it always that easy to say? No. There were many times where I was like, look, Lord, is there any other way we can do this? If you know your word, you know about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was talking, he was saying, look, Lord, this is a lot. If there's any way we can still get what you want done without me having to go through all this, then can we do that? But if you also kept reading, you would also know that at the end of that, he says, not my will, but thine be done. It is something about surrendering to the Lord that I think is so important. And surrendering doesn't just mean I surrender. It means laying aside all of your plans, all of your preconceived notions, all of your tradition, all of what people have told you, all of what you believe, all of your opinions, all of that good stuff, and saying, when I hear you speak to me and you tell me to do something, I'm going to go do it. Or you tell me to sit down somewhere, I'm going to sit down somewhere. And so that's really hard to really put that aside, because it can be intimidating, because sometimes the Lord will tell you to do some crazy stuff. He'll tell you to do stuff that you ain't never did before. He will tell you to do things that you looking at him like, are you kidding me? Like, you want me to do that? Or things that you never dreamed of. Prime example, when I started Heaven Made Beauty, I wasn't trying to be no CEO. I wasn't trying to be a CEO. I didn't want to own a business. I knew I wanted to be, have generational wealth, but I didn't want to be a CEO. I'm like, there are other ways you can build wealth. I don't have to have a business. But when he told me to do it, it was so, his voice was so clear, and everything else outside of me lined up with what he was saying. I said, okay, I guess you said you were going to surrender. This is where the work comes, so go ahead and do it. And it's crazy, because when I started doing it, I fell in love with it. And it has been one of the best experiences that I have had in my life thus far. And so when I say Jesus will, Jesus can, won't he do it? It is the truth. Because people think it's just religion. Oh, I just go to church on Sunday. No, and that's not even it. Like, there are people who don't go to church who have a fervent, vibrant, everyday relationship with Jesus. I'm one of them people. I don't go to Wednesday night Bible study. I might stream on Sunday morning. To think that people are under the impression that you have to follow a certain set of rules when it comes to being a Christian is the tradition and the religion of the faith. Does your vertical relationship with Christ match your horizontal relationship with your family, friends, co-workers, enemies, arch enemies, frenemies, all of that? Because if you say you love Jesus and then hate the person next to you, but that is how Jesus saved my life. And so for me, that's what it took. That's what it took for me to completely surrender. And even in that, I had to, as I grew with him, I had to surrender on different levels. I had to surrender in my career. I had to surrender in my love life. I had to surrender with my money. I had to surrender with the friends that I thought that I had or didn't have or wanted and didn't want, and all that wonderful stuff. I had to surrender with my relationships, business, professional, personal, or otherwise. And some were harder than others. Some were easier than others. It was a process, and that's how he made his entrance into my life. And as I got older, I began to look back over my life and look at the fact that in certain situations, actually in all of the situations, had it not been for him, I would not be sitting before you guys today. I would not be sitting here talking to you. I would not be sitting here loving myself. I would not be sitting here confident enough to tell anybody about anything that had anything to do with me and my accomplishments or my shortcomings. So I'm really just grateful that my heart was open and that my soul was open to receive him when I did, because I think that if I hadn't listened to that word and heeded that experience that happened, I don't know where I would be today, and I don't want to even think about where I would be today. So that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do me a huge favor and let me know in the comments what you guys want to see from me next. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that bell so that you get notified whenever we have more meetings. Aren't these fun? Until next time, I love y'all. Stay safe out here. I'm out.